thoughtfully made people out there. It's Courtney Morrison with Made Architecture and Design, back with another weekend review. So last weekend, on Saturday, we had a family day and went to a kids workshop at Home Depot where my daughter got to build a little craft. We do that pretty regularly, and she seems to really enjoy it. And it's a lot of fun as a family. And then a birthday party with her for one of her friends on Saturday. And then we had church and a family day on Sunday. And then on Monday, we got to it. Monday morning, I recorded the weekend review, much like I'm doing now, and got that posted. And then did some zoning coordination for the hardware store out in Decatur that I am working on. It's a pretty challenging situation out there because it's a non-conforming building in an overlay district, and we are working with Decatur planning and zoning to figure out what variances we're going to need, which ones they may or may not grant, and me and the civil engineer along with the owner's rep are trying to figure out how to shepherd that whole thing through the process. We may end up getting a zoning attorney involved to help with that as well, so we'll see where that goes, but we are working through that. And then that evening, I had a meeting with the City Council here in Marietta. I'm working with friends who own a business here in Marietta and are looking to purchase a building, and they are not an approved use in the overlay district that they're in. You see a theme here. And so we have a zoning attorney involved who's helping us shepherd that. So we went on Monday to go through the work session with the City Council, where they asked some questions and had some ideas and thoughts, and they just really wanted clarification. I thought the work session went really well. There was one council member in particular who seemed to have a lot of questions and some concern, but overall, I thought it was really positive, and honestly, that's what they're there for, is to have questions and have concern on behalf of their constituents. So, I thought it was good. And I've done this before, but with much bigger buildings in different jurisdictions. So for me, it was really great to go through this here and sort of learn the process and see the process firsthand. And so I enjoyed doing that, and hopefully was an asset to my client in that environment. So we did that, and then on Tuesday I worked on a finished plan. It's a modern house I've talked about before down south of the city that's going through some redesign and rework. It's being priced, and the contractor had questions about the finishes. So we had basically a fully fleshed out design that the owner is not going to build, really due to cost, and so we've redesigned something that should be less expensive, and so the contractor was asking how do we translate the finished plan from the previous design to the new, and so I provided them with some markups just to give them some pricing direction, and so we'll see where that ends up. And then continued on with the hardware store, zoning variances. We were looking at it, trying to figure out again which ones to do and not do. So just a continuation of that work from Monday to Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, had a call with that client to talk more about the variances and what we were seeing, and which ones we thought were probable or improbable, and really just trying to strategize so that we only do it one time. Then Wednesday morning, I went down and I saw a project being worked on by a friend of mine who's a builder and architect here in town. He's doing a modern house down in Buckhead, and it's been a while since we've gotten together, so I went down to see him and see his project and walk through and talk through things. He's really a wealth of knowledge. He's been doing it a little bit longer than I have, and because he's a design build contractor, he sees it from a different vantage point than I do, and he's always got great wisdom and knowledge and input. And so it was good to see him and good to walk that project. And then Wednesday night, we went for the Marietta City Council vote, and we passed unanimously seven votes for approval, and so that's a big deal. So my client now can move forward with the purchase of the building, knowing that they will be able to, do what they want to do. They'll be able to headquarter their business there. So that was huge. I mean, and really, it wasn't overly difficult or contentious. There was some time, there was a time element there, and there was definitely some pushback in the beginning, and so we had to provide clarification, and my client really did a bang-up job of talking to the council members and ensuring them that what they were going to do even though it wasn't explicitly allowed within the zoning overlay district, that they were going to do everything they could to comply. And so, we made drawings, the zoning attorney put together a stipulation letter, and we were able to talk through a lot of the variables and get it approved. So really, really pumped about that. Really pumped for my clients, and ready to help them along to the next step. And then, on a Friday, so Thursday, I don't have any notes here, so I'm not sure what I did. That happens sometimes. And then on Friday, I went Friday morning to sit on a jury for architecture students down at Kennesaw State University. I've done this a number of times. I have a good relationship with some professors there who will invite me back to help come and critique their students and their projects. And so I went and did that. This was kind of unusual because it was really only, I think we reviewed 4 students, and it's a summer semester. And so the school has a program where you can, essentially it's remedial studio, for lack of a better word, to help them catch up, because it's a 5-year program and they've got to complete 10 studio semesters. And so if the students get off track for one reason or another, they have the opportunity to make something up over the summer, which is good for the students, but really they're doing something in a very condensed timeline there of the summer. And so it's a lot of work and it's really hard. And so, but I really enjoy doing it. And like I said, we were just there for 4 students. And so we really got to, I think, go more in depth. Usually we're reviewing, 12 or 15 students at a time in a normal spring or fall semester. So this was a little bit different, and I enjoyed it. One thing I will say about this is that something I'm seeing consistently across the board with the KSU students, I haven't done this at any other school, so I don't know if this is systemic or not, but in the KSU program, they have a lot of technology afforded to them. They have 3D printers, they have laser cutters, they have a robotic arm, CNC, all kinds of stuff. And so this was a second year out of 5-year studio, and so really still pretty early on in the program. And they have 3 full semesters under their belt, for context. And so all of them had laser cut models or 3D printed models and things like that. And so while that technology is great and very useful, it is not appropriate in that environment. And so I really was on these students to learn to build models by hand and to just get the feedback from your brain, and making a drawing and having to measure and cut and score and fold. And so I really want to see these students kind of go back to the basics, and I was able to share that with them and tell them that. And again, it's not a critique of the school or the students necessarily. It's just I want to see them really learn to use their hands and use their brains to figure out these problems. Once they're proficient at building models by hand, then sure, they can move on to the more advanced technologies. But I really think those technologies, laser cutter and 3D printer, are really a hindrance to them and in their learning in that environment. So it was a great time. I was glad to be there and really feel like I gave some valuable feedback. It's something I really enjoy doing, helping to sort of influence the future of the profession. So I don't know if any of you guys out there are architects and you're sitting on juries. Is that something you're seeing? Do you see students who are sort of skipping steps, for lack of a better word, and moving on to more advanced technologies without first mastering the basics? So curious if any of you out there are seeing that or experiencing that, and what your feedback is. And maybe do you even agree with me? Do you think that they should learn hand cut modeling first, or hand drafting even first, before they move into the more advanced technologies? So it's a question for you guys. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on that. And then Friday afternoon, I went and had a long meeting, walkthrough really, with the client who's buying the building here in Marietta. And so these projects, I've said this before, there are no small projects, no easy projects, no straightforward projects. I think that we should eliminate that language from our lexicon when talking about architecture or the built environment. We shouldn't use those words at all anymore. So I went and met with this client, and they're buying this building. It's, I guess, about 3 times the size of their current building, maybe almost 4 times the size of their current building. It's a really old building. It's a really cool building. It's masonry, exterior, load-bearing walls, formed in place, concrete floor and roof. And so it's been there for a long time. But I went to meet with them and talk through how are they going to use the building, what are the things we just submitted to city council to say, hey, this is what we're going to do, because the building itself doesn't comply with the overlay district. The site design doesn't comply with the overlay district. So we have to do some things to try to get close or make an improvement. But those things really don't have anything to do with how they're actually going to use the building as a client or as a business. So we had to talk through kind of all of those variables, and I was trying to ask questions and listen and talk through, okay, offices, conference room, lobby, these sorts of things, warehouse space. But I'm also thinking about egress and life safety and how we're going to get people out of the building and things like that, layered on with the city council overlay zoning district requirements. And anytime I'm working with clients, I'm trying to leverage my professional network for their benefit. So in this case, I think they're going to need a civil engineer. So I said, okay, I'll bring a civil engineer to the table. We'll reach out to them and get them to advise. We're going to need a structural engineer. I'll reach out to them and get them to advise. Same with mechanical, electrical, plumbing. And so that is a big part of what I'm doing. But it was a great meeting, and I really, really love working with business owners. It's a big part of what I do for my business. I love working with business owners or people who own things because they've built them. They have a vested interest in what it takes to earn the money that they've made, that they're going to invest into this building. They want to see it be successful, and so I'm really looking for those opportunities where I can provide value to the owners, to the business owners in a way that they hadn't previously thought of. Like, sure, we can get them 10 offices or whatever it is. I can meet the program, but can we do it in a unique or different way that enhances their business, enhances their building that they're buying, enhances their operations, things like that. So that's what I'm trying to do and provide as an architect. So that's all I've got for this week. I really appreciate you guys following along. If you don't mind, please like and subscribe. That's a big help. If you have any questions about who we are, what we do, how we do it, or want to respond or leave a comment on any of the things I've talked about in this video, I would love to hear from you guys and interact with you in the comments, and perhaps respond to you in a future week in review. So that's all I've got for this week. If you have anything else, leave it in the comments below. In the meantime, you guys be particular, and we'll talk soon.